Welcome to the Engerati studio. We are located at European Utility Week, and this is the last day of the event. And we have got Diego from InnoEnergy joining us in the studio today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
How has it been so far?
So far it has been a good surprise. So
right.
yes, last year we were in Amsterdam just to try and to see what was the dynamics of the event.
Yes.
So we decided to come here much bigger in terms of mobilizing our internal
right.
staff and people. And after 3 days, yesterday we signed 3 contracts.
Lovely.
And as you might know, InnoEnergy is not itself a supplier, it's just an enabler of an ecosystem.
Right.
So the contracts were between our own ventures
right.
and customers of the innovative products that they have.
Yeah.
And we have like 200 leads that hopefully will materialize in the next short-term future.
Give us a little bit of an overview of your company, and I believe that you've got a very strong strategy to follow. Do you want to just reveal that to us?
Sure. Yeah, KIC stands for Knowledge Innovation Community.
Right.
So what makes us different as an innovation body is that we create a trusted innovation ecosystem. So what we do is that we foster innovation in a different way than the traditional mechanisms that were in Europe. And how we do this? We do this by integrating in the long-term partnerships where people sign up for 15 years, higher education institutions, research organizations, and industry across all the value chain. And with very clear and transparent rules of the game amongst themselves. And again, on the very long-term objective. That is new. That's completely new. It was an initiative back in 2010 that got a bit of seed money from the European Union. And so far, we're absolutely ahead of the plans of what we designed and visionary back in 2010.
Fantastic. We were talking earlier about, InnoEnergy fostering sustainable energy. Do you want to just expand a little bit further on that for us?
Yeah, at the end, sustainable energy is something that affects a lot, all of us, and is about what is the cost of energy. You might not be aware, but in everything that we're using, 27% of the cost is energy cost. So if we're able to reduce the energy cost by 10%, just by 10%, that will mean on annual basis for Europe around 250 billion euros of savings. What will be the welfare improvement in Europe with those savings, the competitiveness of the European industry, everything? It was incredible. So innovation for us has to target always 3 objectives. Reduce the cost of energy, increase the operation of the system so it's secure and reliable, and decrease the greenhouse gas emissions. For making a better world, but not only from the environmental point of view, but also from the welfare point of view.
Right. Let's talk about Europe's Trilemma and how InnoEnergy proposes or has been helping the utilities overcome this trilemma that they find themselves in.
Yeah, the trilemma is very well established in what is called the Energy Union package that was delivered back in February this year with full unanimous support by the Council, the Parliament and the Commission. And it addresses the 3 objectives that I just described. So we're just absolutely aligned. Even if you look at the Energy Union package, InnoEnergy is mentioned formally as a market uptake vehicle for making that happen. So Europe has identified us as a small micro-energy system where you can find in us all the value chain, all the supply chain, all the energy carriers, 9 countries, so 9 regulations, and like 120 end users like us that are in the micro-energy system run as a business. And that makes us unique to be able to address and to help those challenges.
Let's talk about new entrants and how your company, supports this, new boost of innovation, which is so desperately needed within the energy industry nowadays. Where do you come into this?
I'm happy that you put that question, because one of the most refreshing things that we're doing is to help entrepreneurs that have bright ideas, that they want to rock the boat, they have parallel thinking, and they want to change for the better the energy system. So what we do is that when people come to us, they knock on the door, we check whether their idea has got the potential they think, emotion that the idea has, and then we support them all the way until this idea is implemented and is reaching the potential. We don't give money, we give services. Because even if we give anybody money, isn't it better that overnight we can cut a meeting with the R&D manager of the big utility? He will never be able to do this with money. We're able to do this because we are in a trusted partnership. In case that he wants to upscale his technology, we have deals with outsourcers and contractors that will make that conditions of engagement between the entrepreneur and the contractor, if we are in between, much easier for the entrepreneur.
Yeah, yeah.
So we deliver services and not money. And over the last 5 years, we have been able to create 102 greenfield new companies that did not exist.
Fantastic.
And out of those 102, 55 are already post-revenue and
Right.
cash flow positive, and contributing to challenge the system.
Yeah.
And they are the
There's
outsiders.
no doubt that the energy industry needs innovation in order to embrace this transformation that is currently happening. It's not coming, it's here.
Yeah.
What challenges are innovators up against? And how are you helping them to overcome these challenges?
I would answer that question with two sub-answers. The first one is that innovation is not about technology. Innovation at the end is about people.
Yeah.
And one of the things we do is that we are training the game changers of the future with specialized master programs. And those guys that already are 400 plus that are populating institutions across the world, and when they reach the CXO positions in the utility institutions value chain, because they are wired differently, for them it would be a no-brainer to innovate, because that's the way we're wiring them. One of the main obstacles, just to answer your question, is that today the old engineers were just patterned in a way that we are unable to think lateral, to think multidisciplinary, to think anthropology.
Right.
And those guys are. And the second big obstacle is that the utility world has always been centrally designed, planified, implemented, and we were users. Either we like what we got or we like what we got. We have to change completely the paradigm and put the user at the center of the energy system.
Absolutely.
And that will take a generation, because it's about teaching people, being very pedagogic about what energy is before you empower somebody.
Absolutely.
We're talking a lot about the famous demand response. I think it's a very good intellectual objective, but we need to tell people what energy is about before we empower them. You cannot empower somebody that doesn't understand what is empowered about.
Are utilities embracing this this level of innovation that is coming through? I imagine that it would be very different across regions, very different across different companies. But generally, do they understand that it's critical?
They understand it's critical because if you look at the balance sheets of the utilities compared to the total 10, has been shrinking by maybe some of them by 5. Some of them has been required to break up into 2 companies. So they have been pushed to understand it.
Right.
So you see some of the companies that they just removed the old management to bring new fresh blood, not because the old was good or bad, it's because the old management was good for the old status quo, and now you need absolutely completely different thinkers, strategists for the new status quo. So they've been forced to understand it, and now they've embraced it definitely, yes.
All right. Well, KIC hosted an event called the Business Booster. So clearly you're really behind this innovation trend. Tell us a little bit about the event, which happened recently, and what were the outcomes? What did you learn from it?
The Business Booster Day is an annual event. We do it once a year, where we match on the 2 days our startups and ventures that we have been nurtured along the way. So far, 102, as I said before. Then industries that are the customers of their products, 200 in Berlin a couple of weeks ago. Venture capitalists, because those ventures, in order to grow, normally they are capital intensive, some of them, or they need working capital, so also they are there. The Commission, because energy is a very regulated environment, so the Commission needs to understand what are the technologies that will allow regulation in the future. We also bring our students. Why? Because there are manpower for the ventures and for the industries. So we're creating a trusted ecosystem where people only see wins. So it's a win, 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 win for all the stakeholders. There are no losers. And I must say that it was thriving. And in my conclusion remarks, I only said one sentence: it felt good.
Fantastic, fantastic. I have got a 2-part question for you. It's going to be my last one. What would be your recommendation or advice to both utilities and innovators / startups? What would your advice be to both sides?
I will, and for the first part, for the utilities, please turn to make the user an intelligent, educated element of the value chain. Don't take the user as somebody that will just consume anything that you push through the value chain. You have to empower them. For that, you have to teach them, you have to make them aware of what the energy system is. put your money there in marketing and awareness, because otherwise the famous value chain will not be working. It will be stuck at the key, that is the downstream. For the innovators, the next 5 years, energy is the place to be. I mean, so much is going to happen. Business models are going to be disrupted. New business models is going to emerge. Technology is enabled. Technology is there. There's no wonder. And feel absolutely blunt about reaching this, lowering cost of energy, improving the security, lowering greenhouse gas emissions, because definitely it is a path and will be good for everybody.
Yeah, fabulous. Sound advice for both parties, I'd imagine. Thank you so much for joining us in the studio.
Pleasure.
And I hope the last couple of hours of the event is
More
going
deals.
to be really fruitful for you. Yes, absolutely. And I'm sure we'll see you at the next event.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To our viewers, thank you so much for joining us. Have a look at the other interviews that we have been doing over the last 3 days. And thanks again for joining us.